Hola familia, welcome back to the Chisme with Gary and Jess. New year,
New me.
same
New
chismosas,
location.
new chisme for you. Welcome to our Valentine's Day special.
Yeah. Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy
guys.
Valentine's Day, everybody. Happy Valentine's Day, amiga.
Happy Valentine's
So obviously, there's a new setting. We have a new environment. We really wanted to just change it up a little bit for you guys to make you guys feel a little bit more like welcome and just kind of like part of
like
our.
you're just sitting here listening to us being chismosas.
Exactly, yeah. And we added some new elements. Tenemos a little candle. We're going to be drinking some cafecito because you guys know that the best chismes always happen with a little bit of cafe or some tea. And the tea and the cafe has cafe.
The coffee.
Cafe. The coffee has been brewing. And welcome back.
And just like that, we're back.
Just like that. So let's get right into it, you guys. So obviously today is Valentine's Day, and we have just, with last year, 2023, we're gonna take it back a little bit with Jessica. And you were closing out a relationship that you had. We talked about it a lot during season 1, and now with season 2, it's gonna kind of be like we're going over the hill and just seeing what the other side of the mountain is kind of like, And with 2023 and that relationship and closing out that chapter of your life, Valentine's Day, how was it? I mean, we talked about love bombing.
Yeah.
We talked about just how narcissistic the previous person that you were in a relationship with. What did Valentine's Day look for? Look.
In contrast, I feel like we didn't get to spend Valentine's Day together because
you were in a long distance relationship,
right?
Okay.
So he was supposed to come, but he got upset at me for I don't even know what reason, and he threatened not to come. So he ruined Valentine's Day por enojón, caprichudo, whatever the heck, and it was like, to me, obviously that's toxic. Like, why are you gonna ruin Valentine's Day over something? Right. This is kind of a big deal. So I don't know because we didn't get to spend Valentine's Day together. And I'm really thankful that I don't have that anticipation of like, oh my gosh, are we gonna be together for Valentine's? Are we gonna fight? Like, what's gonna happen?
Yeah.
It's just like
kind of like another regular day.
Just another day.
Because I mean, let's be honest and let's be real. Like, our society really does amplify Valentine's Day together, right? Like,
it's like this huge event.
Yeah.
And with all the social media posts and like girls with their huge flowers and look at the car that I just got.
The big teddy bear over their shoulder. Yeah.
So with the society and the internet, we have like all these expectations growing in our head. But I feel like that's something that it's easier to focus on when if you're not mature enough to like grasp and separate the two.
For sure.
You're in a toxic or unhealthy relationship because there's nothing else to focus on, right? You're just like waiting for like
something good to happen.
Something good, right? And Valentine's Day is supposed to be that thing. And then 3, obviously when you're super young, it's just like a thing that you focus on more.
Yeah.
You haven't matured yet. You don't know that life is not just about that day. And it's just enjoy.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but like if you think about it, we're kind of conditioned to make Valentine's Day like this really big thing because since grade school, elementary, what do? We pass out all these like cards to our friends and then we expect it back. And it's like this big old thing. Like, let's kind of see like quien agarra the most cards. That means that equals who's
crush.
Exactly. Because the more Valentine cards you get, that equals you're the most liked or everybody loves you, but it's really not like that. But we're just so conditioned to.
But girls mainly, because boys leave elementary and they stop thinking about that. They're like, okay, that was a child thing. They don't know that we women, we stay with those thoughts like, oh, it's a thing, unless they follow trends on social media, they're not aware of like everything that's brewing in our minds. And that we have this expectation of like, unless there's super attention to detail, it's not natural to the man to just be like, oh, she's probably thinking and she wants this and she expects this because she's looking at it on social media every single day. Social media is feeding her this, therefore I should make her not feel left out.
Correct.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's not natural.
Because I mean, like Valentine's Day, it's really just like another regular schmegular day.
Right.
It's not like it's anything.
It's not an actual holiday like Christmas or like we don't take the day off or anything.
Or like your birthday.
Right.
That's a special
pretty
day.
Special. Yeah. But again, social media has conditioned us to be like, expect. And if they don't, it equals they don't love you. Or
like when it shouldn't be that way. You know, because you should be able to focus like on your relationship 365 or 364 besides Valentine's Day, right? Like your relationship should be based on how they treat you year round versus just one day. Because what if they are most self-absorbed human being?
Right.
Then on this one day of the year, they completely just like love bomb you and get you all these extravagant gifts,
taking away from the fact that you're.
But you know, like deep down,
it's not.
This is all fake because you're not like this with me every single day. I mean nothing to you.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. And that's the worst. I feel like we're not clearly thinking like, even though I know my relationship's not healthy, how am I to expect this on Valentine's Day? Why do I want to cover for it not being good the whole, year? It's like we give brownie points to our partners for messing up the entire year if they make up on Valentine's.
Correct. Like they get a pass.
They get a pass.
Yeah.
It's really sad because, it's like an expectation, but then a disappointment if it doesn't happen. And it's really just, it's insignificant. Like, what's the substance of this? It's a love day,
Yeah.
It's really sad. Speaking of relationships, I know both of us and our partners have very different love languages.
Yeah.
One of those things that should be happening throughout our relationship is showing, right? We're all showing. We're all showing up. We're all expressing that, when you have a decent relationship, it's happening, right? Not just on Valentine's Day. Obviously, gifts are like the big thing of Valentine's Day because it's physical.
Well, because you could see it.
Right.
It's tangible. You could hold it. Yeah.
But I know we've talked about this on a friendship level, but what's your love language on like in a relationship?
So me and Hera have two very different love languages. Mine is a little bit more like acts of service, doing little things for him. And he is very show me the love, hug me, kiss me, and I'm touchy. Not very touchy. Yo no soy así. And we've talked about this and we have, brought this to each other's attention. Like I've told him like this is what I need from you and I know that this is what you need from me. So that's been a whole like conversation between us throughout our marriage, but I think especially now because now we know what it is. We've kind of like both found ourselves. Like
it's like speaking two different languages.
Exactly. Yeah. And we have to be very mindful about it, right?
Especially when we have different ones.
Yeah.
Because you're like upset that person's not showing you in the language that you expect. And you're like, I don't want that.
Yeah.
But they're showing
don't
you.
Don't touch me.
Like, I don't need that. But he needs it. You know what I mean? It's like we give what we want.
Yes.
We give what we want.
And we expect them to know.
And feel loved by that.
Exactly. Yeah. So we have two very different love languages. He's touchy.
And I'm acts of service.
Acts of service. So we've had to really work on that. What about you guys?
Well, his is.
Well, you're very touchy.
I'm super touchy.
Yeah.
I'm a very touchy person. So physical touch is definitely mine. Like I just want, and it doesn't always have to be sexual, but just like, just acknowledging that I'm there, or like if I'm cooking.
Are you real? Are you really my
boyfriend? Like if I'm cooking and he comes and he just like comes from behind, give me a kiss, says hi, whatever, or we're sitting in church and he's holding my hand,
right?
Or just something to be like, hi, and for him, he's not touchy.
He's not.
He's naturally not touchy.
Oh, okay.
He's not touchy at all. He actually has to practice that.
Okay.
And with me, he does it. But he always said, like, when you truly love somebody, he's like, I've never been in a relationship where, you know, I've put this much effort, because, you know, when you love someone, you gotta work, and relationships are work.
Yeah,
it doesn't come natural, especially when you're two very different human beings. And so he works hard, and I see it. Like, you can tell when something's not natural to a person, and they have to go to their way to remind themselves, this person needs this, I'm gonna do it for them. Yeah. And so I really appreciate that, because I see that it's not his thing, you know. For me, it's touch, and for him it's quality time. Okay. But it's not like quality time, it's just like showing up, right? Like, if we obviously live, you know, an hour away from each other. So like me going to him, driving to him, like without him asking me, or just if he knows I have a break, that kind of stuff, or like, I'm going to Target, do you want to come with me? You know what I mean? Like, just being in the
including him.
Yes, is like, oh, she wants to spend time with me. Yeah. Showing up for someone. And so, and you know, I'm a loner. I like to do things by myself. I don't mind being by myself. So I've had to work on that. It's like, oh wait, I have a partner. Yeah. I can do this with him. Yeah. And so we've both had to work in being mindful that
of what the other person's love languages,
and listening to the things that, you know, they don't say but are important, you know? Okay. Like, even just being on the phone with him, even though I'm just like going about, because he knows I'm on the phone with you all the time, you know? Yeah. So that kind of stuff is like, you have to work at it. And that's the thing, that people are just, they think that relationships, like, they should be easy. They're not. Good things come in hard work.
Yeah, they take a lot of work.
It's like society, Instagram, all that has lied to us that it's just easy. Like, oh, if it's meant to be, it's just gonna flow. That's a bunch of baloney. Yeah, it's hard work. Good things, like, are gonna cost us in life, and that means
it's all a sacrifice.
100%,
right? Because I mean, it's a lot easier to just give up and not do it. You're like, I'm too tired for this, or I'm too grown for this, or I no quiero estar batallando with this person, or blah blah blah. And you know, for, you know, me and Hera, we've been together for so long. It's like 18, 19 years now. And one of the things that we get the most from when we meet someone new, they ask, like, how long have you guys been married? How long have you guys been together? We tell them, like, oh, you know, 18, 19 years. And they always say, like, oh my gosh, like, how have you guys made it? Like, what's the secret to being married? Like, there's no secret.
There's no.
We've had our downs many times. Many times. I mean, to the point of like almost divorcing. Like, we've had that conversation probably way too many times. But I think now that we're older and we're both a little bit more mature and we're able to see things for what they are. Yeah. It's always like, okay, do you want to continue working on this? Like, that's one of the questions we ask each other. Like, do you still want to continue working on this? Right. And we both have to agree. Yeah. Like, if one person does not want to work on it,
it's not going to work.
Then it's not going to work.
No, because a relationship is two people, and it has to be like equal amount of effort. Because, you know, obviously one person, it can't carry the whole relationship by itself. That's never gonna work. Yeah. Effort goes a long way.
For sure.
Just showing up, being committed, you know, whatever that looks like for that, understanding too that that's the way that person is showing up. Yeah. And tying that into Valentine's Day, if we're just looking to see what our relationship looks like on Valentine's Day, it's gonna fail. Yeah. It's gonna fail. Like, he could be the most amazing guy all year long, and it's not realistic for you to be like, well, he didn't do this on Valentine's Day. It's like, well, what does your relationship look like on the other 364 days of the year? Yeah.
What does it look like on St. Patrick's Day?
Actually, my birthday is March 16th, the day before St. Patrick's, so you better not pinch me. That's for sure, because ouch. But when you have a more healthy relationship, the things that you enjoy when you're celebrating Valentine's Day look different. Right? It's not so much about it's about the little gestures, the little things. Like if financially you can't afford to be lavish and your relationship is solid, like go for it.
For sure.
Like enjoy that. You know, if that's the way you express love to each other, show up.
Yeah.
You know, like I love Mexican candy. And so my boyfriend surprises me without me having to ask with Mexican candy throughout the year. You know, if you added all that up for Valentine's Day, I'd be like, but you know, he or like surprised me with flowers or whatever throughout the year. It's something that I am not like, oh no, if he doesn't go out and do this. He did ask me if it is his Valentine's Day because he has taken note that I'm the kind of girl that needs the little things.
Okay.
I'm not the grandiose, like, but just, and I love that naturally he is attention to detail.
Okay.
He asked me to be his girlfriend. Like he said, I've never asked any girl to be my girlfriend, but he's taken note. Like, I feel like in a relationship, if you want it to thrive, not just like exist, but to thrive, you really have to study your partner. Who are they? Not like, what do I need, but what does that person need from me? How can I adapt to what they need? And he asked me to be his Valentine's Day because I'm that corny girl.
Yeah.
Like, I like those little things, you know? Like, you don't have to show up with like a Rolls Royce, but I like, you know, it shows that you're paying attention to the little things that I like. It didn't cost him anything. But just effort. You know, effort. And you know, it's sad that society has Instagram has really affected and infiltrated the expectations. The expectation of people. Yeah.
Especially like the younger people.
Yeah. It's causing a fake fantasy.
Yeah. It really is.
It really is. Yeah. It's like when we were kids, you know, we were doing the little cards and the boxes and all this stuff. And it was more like handmade stuff.
Yeah.
Like not super expensive stuff. And now with Instagram, it's like, let's see who can get the most expensive gift.
Yeah.
And that's not attainable for like 80% of society.
No, because I mean, everything is just so expensive. One of my most memorable Valentine's Day with my husband was one of our first that we had spent together as living together. So it was, it was our first year living together. I was working a minimum wage job. I was 18. We were brand new parents, you know, raising a little 2-3-month-old baby. And Valentine's Day rolled. Actually, so my oldest son just turned 18 a couple days ago, and he was born on the 8th. And then obviously Valentine's Day is on the 14th. So we were, you know, I had just had him. So a week later was Valentine's Day. And I remember, one, we didn't have the funds to go out and buy, not even like a card, like a Valentine's Day card, like at CVS or whatever. And we had both agreed that because we were just barely starting to live together and, you know, coexist together in one household, and just kind of learning, because it's different when you go from dating to living together. And we had both agreed that we weren't going to buy each other anything, but just me being who I am, I decided to make him a Valentine's Day card. And I made him a Valentine's Day card out of like construction paper. I cut out the heart. I did like the gel pens, the glitter gel pens. I wrote this really cute little message inside the heart. And I remember even expressing like, hey, I know we're financially tight, but it's going to get better. And I still have that card, and I wish I would have brought it, but I still have that card. And to this day, that has probably become one of my most like memorable Valentine's Day, because it was the thought, right? Because even though it was me doing it to him, it still like lives resonates. Like very like vividly in my head.
And that's what people don't understand. Like when you remove all the like
fluff,
it's like, wow, those moments when you were thoughtful, when it was a gesture. Yeah. You know, and that's what I think Valentine's Day should be. It's like the gesture behind all the fluff. Yeah. You know, and whether you have millions of dollars or you're broke, you know, there's always a way to go out of your way to make somebody feel special. Yeah. I know that some of us have like expectations like, oh, people should be doing things like this, or people should be doing things like that. Does your husband like do any gestures that like what's his way of showing?
His love language. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, like, oh, we did talk about love languages and stuff, but I mean, like, what does he do? Like, in his own way that he's showing you that he loves you, but because we have these expectations and it doesn't always look the way that we think it should look.
Hera is not Hera is not very
attention to detail.
Yeah, detail oriented. No es detallista. Not really. I think like in the middle, like towards our middle of our marriage, I did hold them to just like higher standards because obviously we were learning, about our marriage and about each other still. I mean, it's like forever changing. And I mean, he does like on Valentine's Day, there was a minute where like he would forget or he wouldn't, he wouldn't really do anything. It would just go, right over him. And for a while, yeah, I would get upset at him. But then obviously as we started like maturing and aging and kind of getting to know like the rhythm of one another, that stuff kind of just didn't matter anymore. It was more of like, okay, what does he do during those other 364 days that is kind of making up for the lack of this one day or whatever. Right. But definitely when he has gotten me, like flowers or candy or, etc. For some reason, he tends to always get me red roses. I don't know why. Like,
wait, you don't like red roses?
They're just not my jam. They're not my jam. They're not my jam. I've told him before, like, get me whatever other color roses you want, white, pink, orange, whatever, purple, but just don't get me red. And my one of my favorite flowers are sunflowers and hydrangeas. And I told him this like many, many, many times.
He's like, red.
He always seems to give me red rose.
What the heck?
And like, I mean, I'll give it to him like, like there's times where he does get me like a bouquet of sunflowers and it's like, oh, he remembered, like, no sé qué es about the red roses, no sé si están en especial or I don't know.
Clearance for of red.
But siempre son las red roses. Wow. But I mean, it's the
right. He went out of his way to
get it for
flowers.
Me, and I definitely do appreciate the fact that he tried. I mean, like for me to him, my love language would be like acts of service,
like feeding him,
right. Obviously our family, doing things for our home and and stuff like that. And his love language is like touchy, like he's always like abrázame, bésame, and I'm just like, and not that I'm like, it's just more of like, okay,
right? Like, it's just not your thing. It's not your language. I feel like there's a lot of people that I know, and my sister, my mom, they're not the most touchiest people.
Yeah.
My sister's gonna be watching this, but it's not like in their nature. They are with like their kids.
Yeah.
But my mom's not with her kids. She's not like I wasn't raised like my dad was. Mm-hmm. My dad was very like, vente mi niña, que sabe que tanto. But my mom was more like, no, acts of service, feeding us, taking care of us, all that stuff. But like that I was ever had my mom affectionate, like,
weird.
Like, weird.
Yeah,
it's a weird feeling. And so I remember, and I'm like with everybody, right, touchy and huggy and everything. And when me and my sister hug,
I'm huggy and everything.
When me and my sister hugged at first, like she was just like stiff.
It was weird.
It was like weird, and I'm like, come here, let's practice. And now I have to do that with my mom. It's like mom, we're gonna practice hugging, because it's so like you're not used to it. It's not. How about your parents? How were they with you guys?
My dad is very affectionate. Yeah, my dad is very affectionate. He hugs.
Yeah.
My mom, my mom, she does, like, when we see each other, we hug and everything, but it's not like my dad.
Right.
My daughter, she's very
touchy.
She's very touchy. Yeah. Absolutely. Like she cada ratito, mom, and she wants to give me a hug, and she always wants to give me kisses, and I hug her back and I give her a kiss también. Pero it is I feel like I could only do it for like a second or two, and then I'm like,
you're like
okay, Gummy,
okay, space.
Yeah, and I feel like I need to. Yeah, I definitely need to get better at that.
What about with your kids? Because obviously you have 2 boys and a daughter. Is it different with boys and girls?
Yeah, just because.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they're older now. You know, ya están grandes. Like my oldest is 18 now. Juju is 30. He's about to be 13. So it is a little different with them. Juju is very affectionate too. Like
Juju.
Yeah, he always gives us kisses on the cheek, and at night siempre nos viene like, persíname, and like, I love you, mom. And,
he's more physical.
Yeah. And so is Camila. Andres is too, but yeah, it takes a little work from me.
Yeah.
To like, I am very like, I'm consciously trying to like be
have
better.
To put in the effort.
I do. Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Yeah. That's funny. The thing about humans and relationships is we have to understand that when we have those expectations, it's like, it's okay. If si no le nace a la otra persona, it's okay, because I feel like society and movies and all that teaches us like, oh, if it's not natural, you told them to do it, then it's not
a red flag.
Yeah, it's like,
they don't love you.
Yeah, it's like, no todo nos van a hacer. You know, and it's actually even more an act of love when you know that person has to put in the effort, and you see them having to go out of their way, you know, like to something que no le nace a una persona. Like I know that, like, my mom, when as we got older, and I would tell her, Mom, like, I need hugs from you, like, and she was like, I was like, okay, let's practice hugging.
And it doesn't mean that they don't love you. It's just that ellos like lo demuestran en una manera muy diferente.
It's another language.
Yeah.
It's and that's okay. And so, like with Hera giving you the red roses, even though that's not your particular flower, like, I feel like understanding that your significant other, the people in your life, that they're gonna put in effort the way that they can put effort, right? And that they're trying, and that it doesn't mean that it's not. Sometimes it doesn't scream loud like a physical gift or something like that. Yeah. But that on the daily, you know, because we're all growing and we're evolving, and people change over time, right? I read on a podcast. Okay, I heard a podcast. I'm hungry. It's lunchtime, guys. My blood sugar. Your signals are also crossed. I heard in a podcast somewhere where it was talking about relationships and how we stop getting to know each other. Like once we go through like the beginning stages, we stop. We're like, oh, I've already known my significant other for a long time. I already know them. I already know what they eat. I already know what they do. I already know, right? And then you're with them all the time. So it seems like you would already know everything, right? Especially when you've been together for like over 20 years. So what this person said is like, what we should do is ask. Like, keep getting to know each other. Keep asking the questions. Yeah, that's a great point. I was like, I had like a brain light bulb go on. It makes sense, just because like when you do meet someone, you ask all these questions like, what's your favorite color? What do you like to do on the whatever your free time? Yeah. What do you do for a living? Yeah. That is what that person is, or who that person is at a very given specific moment in their lifetime. Right. But obviously we change as the years go by. Yeah. And you're absolutely correct. Like, that is 100% true. Yeah. Like, my favorite food at 15 is not going to be my favorite food at 35. Right. Yeah. You know? And we just assume that people don't change because we're a part of their daily life. Yeah. And so I was like, wow, this is so true. Like, giving people the room to change, and then also like engaging and asking, like, you know, like, what's new? It's I know that it seems almost awkward because it's not something that, because you see them every day. Yeah, we're also not taught this, like, continue getting to know someone. It's like, wow, that's true. Like, even me 10 years ago, I was into it. Well, as humans, we're just always like, it's ever changing, right? You know, so like, obviously as a couple, you also that applies as a couple too. Totally. Yeah. So asking Hera, like, why do you get me red roses? Yeah. You know, like,
Mhm.
is that maybe he gravitates towards because that's his favorite color, or
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, because men don't see like in the way that we see things. He's just
Mhm.
probably just like, I need to get flowers, and he's
Mhm.
not even thinking like,
Well, now that you bring that up, I mean, like, I feel like, for example, like his mom, like my mother-in-law
Yeah.
and his sister, they love red roses. So maybe that's why he gravitates towards them,
Yeah.
because like in his head, it's like, okay, well, if my mom and my sister love red roses, well,
Right.
how can my wife not like them? She's a girl,
Right.
so she
It's
must like them
general,
too.
especially because he grew up with so many women,
Right.
to
Mhm.
very strong voices that are going to be a constant in his
Yeah.
head.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So I
That
mean,
way.
that does make sense.
Yeah.
But I mean, I am gonna.
Yeah.
So if he gives me red roses later today for Valentine's Day,
We're gonna find out.
I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna ask him that question. I'm not gonna be upset,
No.
but I am gonna be like, you know what? I've told you this many times. Like, I don't
Yeah.
like red roses. Why do you continue to give them to me?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Why?
Like, thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate
I
you.
appreciate
I acknowledge
the
the
sandwich.
thought. Let me give you a hug and a
The
kiss.
sandwich conversation. I really appreciate it. I acknowledge that you gave me
Yeah.
this. Why do you do it? But thank you so much.
Yes.
I see your intention.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The day.
Why do you think it's so like if you're single? Okay, so let's actually talk about this. Why do you think like people who are in relationships, right? It could go either way, right? Like we just talked about it. Like it's either not a big deal, or it's like, oh,
it's like
yeah, it's like the end of the world. Or people who are single, they dread it. Like it's like a reminder of like this. It's a reminder that I'm single. I don't wanna. Don't ever talk to me about Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think that
I think
single people dread it?
I feel like we can go back to the whole social media expectation.
Mm-hmm.
Like society, and it's funny because when we disconnect from social media, we don't have those expectations like in real life.
Yeah.
On Valentine's Day, like if you're going to the store or whatever, like people are just going about their business. It's about the persona that we put out on social media. It's like, oh, well, they didn't have a. We're thinking in our minds. We're building up this world, this idea that we're all thinking, but then we disconnect, and it's not that in the real world. And so it's like I feel like I can speak on that because I was single this past Valentine's Day, and it was that dread. It was like, oh my gosh, like it's a reminder, it's a this. It doesn't have that much power unless you're so focused on it, right? But if you're constantly feeding yourself like the comparison life, you know, like, oh, look at these people on social media. It's like you dread going on social media on the day of Valentine's Day because everybody's just posting and all this stuff, and you really have to talk yourself to what to believe instead of just allowing your mind to go and think like, wow, this person's life is this on social media. And again, we tell ourselves what we have to believe about the holiday, right? Like we can make it a good thing or a bad thing, right? We can make it like,
and it doesn't have to be romantic too. Like that's another thing. Like it could be showing your affection towards a friend. You know, like Valentine's Day. That's like a perfect example. It's been like this thing for the last couple of years where it doesn't just have to be with your spouse or your significant other. It could be like a celebration just in general of love, like you feeling some kind of showing affection
into a positive.
Yeah. And you know, like in English, there is no, like, for example, in Español, you say El Día del Amor y la Amistad, right? Which translates directly.
It's like friends and relationships.
Yeah, it's the day of the love and friendships, or you know, whatever. But in English, it's just all really solely focused on a romantic holiday.
Yeah.
So it's like sometimes you don't have to do something romantic to make you feel like self-fulfilled or something like that. You know, you could do something kind for someone else. It could even be a stranger. Like just doing something kind for someone.
Yeah.
I think that'll give you some kind of like
fulfillment
and satisfaction.
And that's the thing. I feel like when our mindset is like what I'm expecting to receive, it like you can go down a deep dark hole just thinking like, woe is me, I'm not going to receive anything, like I don't have a significant other, look at these people, they're going to get things, they're going to receive me. And yes, all those are valid, like it sucks and you're sad and like I'm sorry you're alone and all this stuff, But at the same time, you have two choices. You can either woe is me and stay in that, like, oh, poor me, or you can be like, you know what? There's probably other people also going through that in my inner circle where I can pour out and make them feel special.
Yeah.
And I know that during some of the dark times in my life when I've been like, you know what? I am suffering, but somebody else might be suffering too. Let me like be there for them or gift them or whatever. Your whole world is just like, wow. You just like it like lifts up your own spirit.
Yeah.
To see how they respond. Yeah. It's like, oh, wow.
Like I wasn't expecting this because I don't have a significant. It's like, oh, you took the time. Like you're my friend. Blah 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 blah.
Right.
So definitely like Valentine's Day doesn't have to be about romance. You know, like if you're single, people shouldn't dread it.
Right.
People should just, you know, just like it should be just like any given day where if you feel like buying someone some flowers or if you're at the supermarket and you see something that reminds you of them, just buy it, give it to them. Like it's just really another day.
Yeah.
So definitely, you know, Valentine's Day doesn't have to be romantic, dreadful. You don't have to like run away from it. You know, you should be able to embrace it just like any other day. And if you are lonely or are alone and have no significant other on Valentine's Day, like
go make somebody else's day special.
You should totally do that and just show the people you love that you love them.
Yeah.
You know?
For sure. So today's about Valentine's Day. And so if you take anything from this podcast for today, it's like pay it forward. Show somebody else what you would like. Don't just sit around and wait for somebody to do it to you. You know, I feel like we're always waiting for somebody else to do it. Yeah. Go out and be, as corny as it sounds, go be the change you wish to see.
Be all that you can be.
But go be that change. Go love on somebody else. And because at the end of the day, if you're not going to receive, that's a dead end. But you can make someone else's day turn around and you will get fulfilled. You will. Like the golden rule is you always treat other people the way you want to be treated. So if you know you're obviously not the only one, go show somebody else. Go take the time to show somebody else that you love them, that they're special. Even and if you can't afford anything, like
make something.
Yeah. Or like send them a little text. Like there's so many things, so many avenues. A gift. So many avenues. The dollar store. There's so many things that you can do to make somebody feel special. So go out there this Valentine's Day, make somebody feel special. A text, somebody that you haven't texted in a while. Hope you're having a good one. You know, just those little words of encouragement, they make such a big difference. So we're going to wrap it up here. Thank you guys for joining us this
Valentine's Day.
And ready. Okay.
And head out, please don't get me red roses.
No more. I have some other ideas.
Thank you guys for watching. We appreciate you. Until next time.